Okay, one more thing, folks. The first person that sends us $100, but call Cammie to make sure at 830-672-3089 is going to get a signed Mike Hanson Archives license plate. Well, the first two people. So help us out here, folks. The first $100 bill that comes in to help our operation here is going to get, I put on there, thanks and God bless Mike Hanson Archives. Look at all the stuff that y'all are helping with. Look at there. Look at all the work going on there. Alrighty. Now, what do I say?
Back to the future.
Back to the future.
I love Mike Hanson Archives.
Get ready to run.
Well, hello, folks. It's Mike Hanson from Mike Hanson Archives. And guess who we got here? Jeff Davis. Okay, Jeff, it's 2022.
Not yet.
Tell it. Yes, it is.
Okay.
It's 2022. We're back in the future now. Now, we've been showcasing some of your 1990 shows here on Mike Hanson Archives.
Yes.
I mean, stuff that you and Alex have talked about on your shows and other guests has already came true and already gone in the last 25 years.
A lot of it, yeah.
A lot of it.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we're here in 2022 in beautiful Gonzales, Texas.
Come and take it.
Thank you. There's our Confederate statue. Did you know that Antifa tried to rip that statue down and 300 militiamen were right here on this grounds here protecting it last year?
No, I never heard
Oh,
of
they had snipers. DPS had snipers on these buildings here, Jeff.
Uh-huh.
They had snipers, and this is the largest Confederate statue west of the Mississippi. Look how big that is. It represents a Confederate soldier looking to the north.
Yeah.
Because we were occupied by the North for a while down here, after the Civil War.
Yeah, well.
It's divide and conquer.
That's
an old divide and conquer.
That's 150 years ago.
Well, I know that. Let's talk about the future here.
Okay, here's the
Okay, go ahead.
Here's the Jeff Davis.
Now we've been
show.
arguing all night long.
Well, here's the Jeff Davis show perspective.
Okay.
As of this date. Okay, first off, the God of Israel created Adam and Eve naked. You understand that? They were naked. God said, God created the heaven and the earth. God created all of our plants and all of our trees and saw that was good. He created Adam and Eve naked. You understand that, people? Naked. Now, where does the Jeff Davis show stand on all these? First off, Jesus did away with all of the old Moses laws. The 640-some laws, polygamy, bigamy.
But he didn't do away with the 10 Commandments.
Yes, he did.
No,
Yes, he did.
no, I
Well,
don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
Yes, he did.
Okay, if we did
I
not
can show you Bible
if
verses.
people
Well,
did not
said
follow
Bible.
the 10 Commandments, we'd have a unruly society.
No, Jesus said one thing: love thy neighbor as you love thyself. He liberated us from the old Moses laws and said, love thy neighbor as you love thyself. Translated means live and let live.
Okay, I agree
Now-
with that.
okay,
but we can, first of all, people out here, we cannot violate somebody's property or their person,
Right.
and we would have a very
Right.
nice society.
The only thing what you're talking about, the only thing that matters in God's eyes and Jesus' eyes is if you create a victim.
That's right.
Okay, you create a victim.
Okay.
Now, in a Jeff Davis show world, people could be out here screwing in the streets, put the heroin in their arms, naked out here if they chose to. There is no prohibitions of any kind.
But I don't go that far.
Well, it
I
doesn't
don't.
make any difference whether you're
No,
advancing the government theory that there needs to be prohibitions on these things.
No, not prohibitions.
That's
but
what you're.
it's
That's what you're saying.
It's just that
that is prohibition.
to have.
If you're not allowed to walk around naked out here, that's a prohibition.
Well, maybe some people don't want to see it.
That people don't have to look at it. Instead of having a government coerce people to have to prohibit from everybody, why can't people just not look at it?
But you got to have respect for other people.
You have respect for other people by letting them do what they want, and people can choose whether they want to look at it or not.
Well, as long as they're not violating.
As
long as they're not violating somebody or somebody's property, but people are going to say, "Hey, I don't want my kids seeing somebody out here making love."
It doesn't make any difference. That's for their responsibility that their kids don't want to. You still don't empower government to have prohibition on everything. If the parents don't want to see nudity out in the streets, it's their responsibility to make sure the kids don't see nudity out in the streets. It's not the government's. At any time, but what you're doing, Mike, is you're empowering a government to have prohibition on all of our lifestyles. That's not what Jesus meant. It's not what the Jeff Davis show was.
Okay, folks. Now we're going to go back to a young, handsome Jeff Davis in the 1990s. And then now here's Alex Jones along with you.
In a Jeff Davis show world, anything goes.
Well, we'll get that.
Unless you create a video.
We're going to talk about that on that. Folks, we're going to talk about COVID on the next break and how we differed on that.
I don't know anything about it.
Well, guess what? We're fixing to talk about it on the next break. We'll see you on the next break, folks.
Live and let live. Jesus said, love thy neighbors, you love thyself. And he also liberated us from all the Moses' laws, and that's all in the Bible, and I can prove it.
All righty.
Peace out.
Back to the 1990s, folks. Back to the future.
We've had 1,250% inflation. And we, the citizens of this country, need to stand up and say that there is a better way. And luckily, we have somebody here who is very articulate about this and can talk about Citizens for an Alternative Tax System and a national sales tax.
Well, I want to correct something that you said.
Okay.
You give me too much credit. I certainly didn't. I'm not a one-man band where Austin Katz is concerned. There's a lot of good people there. In fact, Nick and Mike and a lot of the other guys there are carrying that on while I've moved on to the internet. I'm now the webmaster of the national website, www.nrst.org. I think they've got some words they're going to flash up there for me in a minute. But NRST is National Retail Sales Tax. And
but you are the founder of the local
that's true.
group. And,
that's true.
And you're my buddy. And
that's
so
right.
is Nick and all the others. And they're all my buddies too. But it
well,
takes somebody
you've
to
been
step
really
up
good
to the plate.
Us. You've been really good to us, George, and been a leader in public support for our cause there.
So in 1992 when you started it, or 91? Right. You came to Austin and you started this organization, and probably 99 out of 100 people you talked to said, what kind of idea is this? Why did you decide to start CATS here in Austin?
Because it wasn't there. Unlike the mountain, which is you climb it because it's there, I founded this chapter because it wasn't there. I helped to start the San Diego chapter. I got involved in CATS. I actually thought I made up the consumption tax in place of the income tax and in place of the IRS, which is important. And until I realized, I discovered this organization, Citizens for an Alternative Tax System, and they were focused solely on eliminating the income tax, replacing it with the national retail sales tax, and getting rid of the IRS. And so I said, I'm in. Helped start the San Diego chapter, and then I moved to Texas to be closer to my parents, who are getting a little long in the tooth now. So I wanted to be near them, and there was no chapter here, so I started one up.
Great. But, clearly everybody who's ever dealt with IRS comes away with kind of a bad taste in their mouth. I've dealt with them, and you go in and you have at least I felt like I had absolutely no rights, and the people treated me, not all the people. There's clearly a lot of good people who work in the IRS, and so any of the people who work for the IRS you know, we're not against you, but we're opposed to the system, and power tends to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and unfortunately the IRS has almost unlimited power. And
it is. It's really atrocious. Our rights are really being trampled by the ever expanding powers of the IRS. One fellow by the name of Dennis Burnham wrote a book entitled A Law Unto Itself, and that's a very fair characterization. Recently, just within the past 12 months, a girl was working at a restaurant called the Jewish Mother. It's over on one of the seaboard states on the East Coast there, and she was caught embezzling $30,000. So the owners of the restaurant filed charges against her and what have you, and apparently she retaliated by telling the FBI and IRS and other people that this restaurant, which is a legitimate business, was dealing with Jamaican hitmen, and they had heroin stacked 5 feet high up in the walls in the back room. And so rather than check out her record, she did have a criminal record, and just talked to the local police who knew that she was being charged by these people. They went in, and actually they went in during business hours in the restaurant and took silverware out of the hands of patrons sitting there eating, made everybody stop the whole business, and they just confiscated every piece of paper, every computer they had. They went to the manager's house, took him out of his shower. He was in the shower at the time. They took him out at the point of a pistol, a 9mm to his head, and arrested him and all the principals involved. 5 or 6 months later, they came and backed up a rental truck, dumped everything in the middle of the restaurant, and said, "No more the investigation is over."
no habeas corpus, no nothing.
Nothing. They just march in and do their business.
What is the national retail sales tax? What's the difference between that and the income tax? What is it?
Well, it's a simple philosophy, really. We advocate that we should not be taxed for what we contribute to society. We should be taxed for what we take away from society, which is what we consume, what we buy. And it's a lot easier to track what you buy rather than try to define what is income and all these different kinds of definitions, which have made the Internal Revenue Code so monstrous. And
I was reading today that there are 20,000 pages in the Internal Revenue Code and another 200,000 pages of case files. So there's over 220,000 pages of IRS code.
It's incomprehensible, and it's a lot of it is contradictory. Nobody, I think, understands the whole thing. There are people who specialize in one area or another, but every year there's an organization, I forget what the media segment is, but they conduct a survey, and they get about 40 different accountants, and they give them an example, an anecdotal what if financial situation, and they typically all come up with different answers.
Right. I just saw one where a bunch of people at Washington University of St. Louis had 48 different accountants, and they asked them to do a problem, and they had literally 48 different answers as to what they should be, and between $16,000, $16,400 to $48,000, and these were all high quality folks who you spend a lot of money with.
Well educated.
Well, hello folks, it's Mike Hanson here from Mike Hanson Archives. I know you've been enjoying the old Jeff Davis, the young Jeff Davis. How old are you now, Jeff?
I'll be 62 in February.
So 25 years ago when we were doing these shows, how old were you?
35.
Wow, and I was like 32.
I've been at this since 1990, the first time I
Absolutely,
ran for
and guess when I came around?
About 93. Remember?
No,
because you were
95.
helping me in that editing bag.
95.
But you were helping me in that editing. Remember that little
1995.
editing
Yeah,
bag?
well, those shows are up on your... They're all going up.
I know that.
Just to let y'all know out there, folks, I am putting up all the old Jeff Davis shows, all the old Alex Jones shows, all the Desi Andrews, Chris Ritter, Jimmy Ritter. All these are going on. I have a lot of YouTube channels. I have the Jeff Davis Show Archives,
which is the best in
the world. I have the Mike Hanson Archives, the Hanson Archives, the Joyce Isaacs Archives, which she's been on your show many times,
Yeah.
and has
her
plugged.
radio show,
That's
man.
okay. And I have Waco Archives, and I'm getting more every day, but the best one is the Jeff Davis Show Archives. Make sure. Oh, and
Absolutely.
Trailer Park Show Archives.
Only when I'm on it.
But I put your shows up on
Only
that
when
one too.
I'm on. Only
Oh,
when-
and then we're on Rumble too. We're
Did
on
you-
Rumble.
did you see-
We're on Rumble.
You know the last time I was on the Trailer Park Show? You know what I was talking about?
Pot.
No, the great calling.
Okay, what I want to talk about during this break is COVID and the shot. Jeff has a totally different opinion than I do. I think these shots are killing you out there. I wouldn't recommend taking them. That's up to you. I know I'm going to take, like Sarah Palin said, I'm going to take it over my dead body. Now, Jeff, you have to admit that they really come up with a good one, that medical tyranny on this one. They can say or do anything they want in the name of science and control us any way they can. These people are out of control. They first said, oh, we can't hug our families. That's what they came out with a year
They were
ago,
out of
2
control
years
with
ago.
the great calling for 30
Okay, but
years.
when they say I can't hug my family, that's a different
war on
story.
drugs
I
for
can't hug
50
my
years.
grandchildren, that's a different
That's
story.
when they were out of control.
Okay, and
With
then
a great
folks,
calling for 30
and then
years
folks,
and a war on drugs for 50
you know,
years.
when
That's
they-
when you people were out of control.
okay, but when they're forcing you to wear a mask like a slave did, 200 years ago, that's out of control. When they're
So was a
throwing,
great calling
when
and
they're
a
not
war on
letting you
drugs.
into restaurants because you don't have a shot, you're having to show an ID, that's not freedom.
Well,
And I tell you what they did to us, a year and a half
you think
ago.
a war on drugs is freedom?
I don't think that's free either, but I'm talking about COVID at this point.
Okay, well.
Okay, a year and a half ago, they just like threw food out of the restaurants like we were dogs on a sidewalk. Everybody is guilty under this COVID thing. Everybody's guilty before they even know you have it. And it's just the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Over cops.
Oh, absolutely.
Over cops.
Absolutely.
Over cops do.
Absolutely.
Over
At
cops.
least cops have to have probable cause.
To
They don't
do-
have to have probable
To
cause
do
at all.
cavity searches on the side
Oh,
of the
okay.
road?
I don't think that's a problem compared to this.
That's not a problem.
Oh, so you don't
legalize sodomy. on
So,
the
so
side of
you're
the
saying
road.
that treating people as a second-class citizen because you don't have a shot is not a problem,
I don't know. I think legalized sodomy on the side of the road is a problem.
folks.
That's what I think.
Believe me, this is a problem. They're going to keep saying you need another booster shot until you're dead. It's a problem, Jeff.
Well,
it's a problem.
I'll tell you this, Mike.
There is
I've been getting shots.
thousands, if not millions, of people dying from this shot. And when you get the third one,
I have no proof of that. I have no evidence.
just like Dr. Penny said, there's going to be a lot of people dead.
Well, I know
after
there
all
was
this.
millions of people dead from the Great
Well,
Calling.
absolutely, but
From the
this
Great
is a
Calling
different situation. This is something they
This-
just came up with.
Mass compared to bombing nations into oblivion.
I'm not talking about just mass. I'm talking about taking a deadly shot.
Well, Mike, I've been taking vaccines since I was a little kid. When I was in the Air
This
Force.
is
when
not
I
a
was-
vaccine.
When I
Folks,
was in the Air Force.
this is not a vaccine.
When I was in the Air Force about once a year.
It's not a
They
vaccine.
told me I had to go get a shot, and
This-
I went and got a shot.
This is not a vaccine, folks. It's not a vaccine. It's a deadly shot. It does not prevent anything.
Well,
it ruins your immune system. God gave you an immune system for a reason. Use it.
Well, I don't have any real comments on it.
Well,
Frankly,
you need to do a little study on it.
Frankly, this whole COVID thing to me, I don't understand it.
Well,
but
you
I
need
do,
to.
But I do understand a great calling and a
I
war on
understand.
drugs.
I understand medical tyranny when I
do
see it.
understand a great calling.
The
and a war
only
on
way
drugs.
you're going to prevent a virus, my mother was a nurse for 50 years, Jeff, is to wash your hands and don't touch your eyes. It mostly goes in through your eyes, not through your mouth and this and that. At this point, people are just tired of it, and they know that they've been bullshitted at this point, Jeff.
I would think Americans would be tired of a 50-year war on drugs.
They're tired of that too, but that's
Right.
why they've come up with this new plan, COVID. Yes, and then they come up with a new one every 6 months. There's a new virus. That's never going to end.
Well,
They
that
love this
That
power.
might be. I
That
don't
they
know.
love this
It does-
power. you know, we're not so bad here in Texas, but you go to New York and California, Jeff, you really see what's going on, or some of these other countries. Did you know you can't even get on a plane now to go international without taking that shot? How is that freedom when they're forcing you to take a deadly shot?
It doesn't make it. Well, you can't travel with a pot in your bag. They have dogs sniffing everything and TSA groping you. And what's the difference? This shit's been going on for a long time.
I just happen to have a key. But,
I'm on the air, Dan.
Did you know that TSA has been groping people? And
they've been doing that for a long time.
They send around.
They've been doing that since the 1970s.
Dogs around to sniff everybody.
Of course, we were free.
That's medical tyranny right there.
We were
That's tyranny right there.
We were deaf. That's why I like the 1970s as much as I do. We were freer back in the 1970s.
Yes.
I mean, you could get on a plane.
I'd say so.
You get on a plane. You didn't have cameras. Didn't have cell phones. You know, it was a more free society than it is now.
Wow.
Okay,
the war on drugs did a lot to lot of devastation on our Americans.
Okay, we're in 2022.
Right.
We're in 2022 now.
More than COVID at this
now,
point. 50 years of the war on drugs.
We're going to go back.
Has caused far much more death and destruction and loss of liberty than 2 years of COVID.
Now we're going to go back
it.
to the young Jeff Davis and the really young Alex Jones.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see you next time, folks, right here on Mike Hanson Archives.
Peace out.
Peace out and back to the future.
Yeah.
But nobody can understand it. That's just it. And it's subject to interpretation, and unfortunately, it's subject to the IRS's interpretation, and that can really cause you problems.
Yeah. So basically what this is a consumption tax at the point of retail sales.
Retail only, and that's important to understand. The national retail sales tax taxes goods and services only one time. Now, some people say, well, it's like a value-added tax, but that's not so.
And a value-added tax is a type of tax that they have in Europe,
Yes.
common market, where there's layer after layer after layer of hidden taxes.
Hidden taxes, and that's a big problem.
And this is really important. This is not a VAT tax. This is
True.
a tax that everybody can see and understand, and it's right up front.
Right there on your receipt. When you buy something, the cost of the federal government is going to be right there where you can look at it right on the receipt.
Okay, so basically and everything is taxed at the retail level.
Correct. Under H.R. 13...
which is the Towson...
the Towson Schaefer Tax Act of 1997 provides, it's 50 pages of tax code, as opposed to 20,000, 200,000. And it provides for a tax on retail transactions.
Now, when I talked about this 5 years ago, everybody would go, oh, it's just so regressive. And I'd say that the biggest question people have is, they say, well, what about the regressivity of it, which is kind of the politically correct term for what we have right now. And
well, politically correct is far from the facts, as it most often is. That's the problem. There's nothing more aggressive than the current tax system we have, because corporate taxes, people are sedated and seduced by politicians who say, "Oh, we're going to sock it to the rich. We're going to double up on corporate taxes," and that's so insane, because corporations don't pay taxes. It's just another cost of doing business that they pass on to consumers. One of two ways: higher prices or lower wages. Either way, it's coming out of the consumer's pocket, and corporations just pass it on. So there's a lot of regressivity built into the current tax system, but we just never see it.
And clearly the present taxation system relatively hits the middle class the hardest.
Absolutely. The low end of the income base is they're getting entitlements and that sort of thing, and abatements, and there's not much in the way of
This
taxes.
actually also, the present system also hurts the poor through loss of jobs and economic growth, which we'll talk about in a little bit.
Sure.
And it's really incredible. I mean, people have all these ideas, but in fact, this system is not regressive, and actually it is a very positive progressive because of something that Towson and Schaefer put into it. Why don't you tell them about that?
The rebate system.
Yes.
Our plan provides for a rebate on the tax amount on minimum living expense standard. So Congress decides what it takes to raise a family in this country. Bare minimum. You're surviving if you're $15,000 for a family of 4, just as a guesstimate. I don't know exactly what the figure is. And that would be subject to Congress interpretation. If your Social Security or your check would be supplemented by this amount from the government, so you'd be refunded for any taxes up to minimum just survival spending. Above that, you pay taxes in proportion to what you spend. So I think it's a very fair way and a simple way to get the same amount of revenue that the federal income tax collects now.
One of the things that is also very important is that this also changes the underground economy right now. There's a lot of underground economy happening with drug dealers and other things that are happening, and where people are not reporting their taxes.
Mm-hmm.
And with the national retail sales tax, everybody pays their fair share.
Everybody pays your tax. If you're a pimp or a drug dealer or otherwise making a living under the table, and I personally don't have a problem with that, except for us raising my taxes. So sorry, I'm not going to be able to put up with that.
Right.
But the national retail sales tax provides for a fairer way of paying taxes because everyone goes and buys something.
It's estimated that approximately, 15% of all taxes in the United States are either underpaid or not paid at all? Is that correct? Or is it higher than that?
I don't know. I know that there's about a $125 billion underground economy.
Yeah.
And that was a couple of years ago by the IRS's own estimate. So.
Another thing I've read is that 2 different reports, Kotlikoff, and who is at Boston University, and another professor at Washington University at St. Louis, has said that it is estimated that it costs $600 billion a year just in preparing tax returns.
I think it's, there's a couple figures being bandied about. One is 300 billion, and the other is 618 billion.
Let's use the lowest number,
the
$300 billion.
If it's only $300 billion.
Which is more than the whole Defense Department.
Right, and more than General Motors and Ford and Chrysler all put together.
This is not million.
No,
this is the B word. This is the B word right here.
Yeah. That's the equivalent of the tobacco settlement.
And the amazing thing, does
that's every year.
Does that $300 billion, if it's $300 billion, not $600 billion, let's say it's $300 billion, does it make our roads any better?
No.
No. Does it teach our children any better? No.
No.
Does it keep our environment clean? No.
This is the cost of calculating how much tax you pay.
It's incredible.
You spend $300 billion to figure out how much tax to pay in
and then they tag you and say it's not right anyway.
Right.
Another thing that's really important is something I keep talking about a lot, is that even though our national deficit is $5.5 trillion and we're basically bankrupt, another economic indicator people don't talk about is our monthly balance of trade. Since 1983, the United States has had an average of $12 billion a month, negative trade. We've been sending out $12 billion more to foreign countries than we've been taking in. And what made the United States rich is that we were a great industrial nation. We made things for the world, and now we're becoming paupers. And with the present income tax, it hurts us. With the national retail sales tax, it will create jobs so that we can export more. Is that correct?
Right. European countries, such as France, take their tax off at the border, so that their goods come across to our market at a reduced rate. We do not do that. Our income tax stays on if it's produced in this country, whether it's exported or sold in our own market. So we're at a disadvantage in our own market against exports, and we're at a disadvantage in foreign markets because we don't raise our tax off.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Billy Towson was saying, I heard him saying that within a couple years it could create 1.6 million industrial jobs here in the United States just by creating more of an economic impulse so that we can sell to the Germans and we can sell to the Japanese and we can sell a few to Bill Clinton's friends in China.
Well, just imagine what you could do with so many thousands of dollars that it takes to pay the accountants and what have you to maintain the records. For 7 years you've got to keep records, and you've got to calculate the humongous tax return. If you're Chrysler, your tax return looks like about a 5-foot stack of paper, and there's this isn't minimum wage people pushing a pencil and counting beans to calculate that. If you can, under the national retail sales tax, you'll be free to reinvest that income into the business, increase wages, develop better products, and improve your business, which would create jobs, exactly what you're talking about.
Now, who would administer this tax?
Well, it's proposed that it would be administered by the states.
Right.
There are a few states that don't
There's
have
5 states that don't have a sales tax.
And so they could, those states could contract an adjoining state to administer their federal
Or have the
tax
Treasury
for them.
Department do it.
Or whatever.
Hopefully
is
another state would do it, or
Yeah.
they do it themselves.
Right, but it's so easy. There's 46 states or so that have a state sales tax, and this would just piggyback onto that.
Okay, so clearly there's just loads and loads and loads of information about this. We don't have the time to talk about it in full depth. But what we do have is that we have the time to introduce this subject, and we want people to get a lot more information about it factually. If they want more information factually about it, what do they need to do?
Well, you could call 916-FAIR. It's the local CATS chapter maintains a 24-hour number. It's a hotline.
Give that number one more time.
916-FAIR, 916-FAIR. And you dial that number and you'll hear a recording, get you some information, and get you started.
We have a very active chapter here in Austin, Texas.
Yeah,
and the first thing is don't believe a word, believe us, but ask your questions and ask all the tough questions that you can, because this change would be a monumental change. But clearly in my mind and in Ashley's mind, it would be the best thing for this country. But you need to ask the questions and get the information. So call 916-FAIR. Now the next thing is a lot of people go, yeah, right, this is pie in the sky. But in fact, we have a lot of national support for this, don't we?
We sure do. And if you look at our website, www.nrst.org, as you see on your screen there, you just go out there and explore if you have the ability to get out and surf the net. Get up there and you'll see a lot of information. One of our supporters is Bill Archer, who's chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, and that's
down in Houston.
Right. He's a good Texas representative.
No. Well, he's the. We've got some calls waiting, but I'll tell you what, we've got so many guests coming on. I'm sorry to all the callers because there's so many good things we want to talk about here. But if you want to call Ash, can they call you, or they can get you through FAIR or 916-FAIR?
They're going to get the local chapter through 916-FAIR.
Great.
But my email is on that on the website, so I answer all the email personally and
now this is not just a Republican or a Democratic thing. It's a bipartisan push, isn't it?
This is about freedom, and that's across all political, social, and economic lines.
Here in Austin, we need to do several things. One is that people need to get educated about it.
Right.
2 is that they need to call FAIR. They need to call local Austin Cats. We need to write letters to the editor.
Right.
We need to call Lloyd Doggett, and call Lloyd Doggett and write him letters. Write letters to the editor.
Yeah.
Join local cats. And what else can people do?
There's a lot that can be done. There's telephones. You can make telephone calls for the chapter. You can give information out in public venues, and just contact the chapter, and we'll find out what your skills are, what your interests are, and we'll put those things to work. We want people to be happy volunteering, but you have to do something. And people tell me, oh, well, this doesn't have
Snowball's chance.
Yeah, at least. But I tell you what, it has absolutely no chance unless we do something. So if you're willing, as I am willing, to do something to make sure that it's not my fault if it doesn't happen, then that's all we need. If I had 1 out of the 5 people who've told me that this didn't have a good chance behind me all the time, then this would be a done deal.
Ashley, give your best 2-minute summary.
My best 2 minutes.
A summary of why we need a national retail sales tax.
Well, it's about freedom. Our founding fathers established that we would not have an income tax. The Supreme Court said over 100 years ago that it was unconstitutional to have an income tax. The 4th, 5th, and 8th Amendments protected us, protected our freedom of speech, prevented us from testifying against ourselves in public, and protected our houses, our persons, our possessions.
4th and 5th Amendment, right there.
And these rights have been violated gradually by this insidious income tax. We can defeat it, and we have a great method for doing that. We have a fair way to collect the same amount of revenue, and it will help us restore freedom in this country, and that is the primary reason. If you can't believe in it for today, believe in it for your kids, because there is something going to change about the income tax. We are going to have a huge change in the way we collect taxes in this country, and it's up to you to do it the right way, because the way the IRS wants to do it is not going to make you any happier than you are now. Guaranteed.
Ashley, you're great, and I really enjoy talking to you about lots and lots of things. And are we going to go down Barton Creek in the next couple of weeks?
I wouldn't have it any other way. I guess there's enough water down there.
There's plenty of water down there. We were fixing to go down there, and it's too wild right now.
Okay, well, when it simmers down a little bit, call me up.
Okay.
All right.
Ashley, I sure appreciate you coming and doing all this great work. And I also appreciate Nick and all the other folks with Austin Local Cats. They are just... Name some of the people who are local folks who deserve some credit here.
Lenny Fine, Mike Bidlow, Mr. Merriweather. Actually, Bob Larson has helped us in, a good deal. I understand he's your next guest.
Yep. Speaking of that is
all right.
Bob, friendly Councilmember Larson, come on out here. We're going to talk right now. And Ashley, thanks again. And
thanks for having me.
Say hi to that beautiful friend of yours.
I sure will.
Okay.
Hello, folks. This is Jeff Davis with the legendary Jeff Davis Show from Central Texas, USA. And I love Mike Hanson Archives. Peace out, baby.
Now, back to the 1990s.
Now back to the best.
No, back to the 1990s.
Back
Back
to the 1990s.
to the future.
Back to the future. Peace out.
I like that shirt.
I like it too.
Oh, Larry, here, hold on. Oh,
Mike Hanson original.
Oh, I love that. Come and take me. No, come and make me.
That's right.
And guess what? You can get those by calling 830-672-3089. But how does somebody get that good a body, though? That's what I want to know.
You got to work at Sonic for 4 years.
Bye. Say bye to everybody on Facebook.
All right.
Bye.
We're back, as Jeff Davis says. Hi, this is George Humphrey with my good friend Bob Larson. We've had quite a night here. We've had Galen Ross, who is just a fine gentleman. I've gotten to know Galen in the last year. We've had my friend John Emery, who sings at my church, and he does music. We've had George Ashley Lewis. And now they say politics make strange bedfellows, but here in Austin, Austin's a pretty friendly city, and I have a very good friend that I've made in the last several years is Bob Larson, and Bob was the man who defeated me in 1990, and Bob got kind of a bad deal, not a bad deal, but he had kind of a rough trip when he was on the city council, but that's part of the service, and we've gotten to know each other pretty well, and we don't agree on everything, but one of the things, Bob is always very, very upfront and really loves this town and really wants us to do what's right and live within our means. And Bob and I have worked on several different issues in the last couple of years, and I'm very honored to have Bob on the show. Hey, Bob.
Now I remember where I know you from. George, thanks for having me here. You know what time it is, don't you?
It's 9:44.
I should be in my jammies by now.
Bob owns
But
the
here I am.
Old Timers Clock Shop, so if any of you have any clocks that need repairing, Bob has got one of the finest shops there is. It's
Come to us.
over on 38th Street, and he does a great job.
Thank you, George.
Before we go into anything, that's the Old Timers Clock Shop. Anyway, Bob is very active in many, many different issues, and one of the things that he's very active in is Habitat for Humanity. And why don't you tell the folks about Habitat?
You noticed my pin.
Yeah, of course I do.
Okay. Well, thank you, George. Yeah, Habitat for Humanity. I guess everybody's heard of it by now. Jimmy Carter and his wife every year go out and build some homes, help build some homes. Actually, Habitat for Humanity International now is the largest builder of homes in the U.S.
Wow.
It's incredible, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
We're getting close to a total of 500,000 homes, I believe it is, worldwide.
That you've built?
Yes, Habitat for Humanity. Now here in Austin, the total is some 50 homes now, and we've been in action here in Austin for about 10 years now. But we have a wonderful local chapter, and a lot of people don't understand. We build homes with volunteer labor and some donated materials, so we keep the cost of a home in half, basically. And we make them affordable for people. We don't give them away, we sell them. But we sell them at basically half cost because of the volunteer labor. And then we don't charge interest on a 20-year mortgage. So it makes the home very affordable. However, that home buyer has to pay for that house, of course, over 20 years, interest-free. But he also has to put in some labor. The down payment, as we call it, is 400 hours of labor on other people's homes and then his own home or her own home. And so it's a great program. The money comes back. We don't start from zero every year.
Right.
We're collecting those payments, so the money comes back, goes for more housing. So you see, it's an unending program. If you want to get involved, very quickly, let me plug the number here. Somebody that would like to get involved as a volunteer, you learn how to build a house. You meet a lot of great friends. 472-8788. 472-8788. They'll tell you how you can volunteer in one way or another to help build affordable homes here in Austin.
Bob, that's really great. And you are the assistant chair of Habitat for Humanity?
Well, I've been on the board about 4 years. I happen to be the vice chair this year. Yeah,
Great.
So
Great.
We're proud of the organization.
Yeah,
I'm very proud to be affiliated with Habitat.
It's a bunch of good folks who really care about people, and it's trying to keep politics out of it and trying to just do the right thing for
No politics.
all. Yeah, no politics, which is a good thing. I wish.
Unlike your show, George.
Well, anyway, into politics. Let's slam it in. One of the things that while you and I were on the council, when we first got on the council, one of the things that we realized very quickly is that our electric utility was the goose that laid the golden egg here in Austin, Texas. We have, even though Austin is the 27th largest city in the United States, we have the 9th largest city budget, and that's because we have our own utility. And our own utility has been publicly owned since 1915, and it is done, even though they've made a lot of mistakes. I've been opposed to a lot of their decisions, like the nuclear power plant and other things. It has basically given us relatively low cost rates. We've had relatively good service. We've had conservation programs, and it has returned last year $60 million to the general fund, keeping everybody's taxes down.
Exactly right. It's big business, our electric utility. And we own it. You know, of all the city departments, of course, you know, police, fire, we need them. But they cost us money. The electric utility actually generates us a profit.
Right.
That helps keep our taxes low. It goes into the general fund, as George said. That amount that goes in there may have to come down because of deregulation, competition, who knows. But it's still a great utility. Why destroy it?
Right.
That's why we're here. George asked me, actually, to help on CASH, Citizens Against Shutting Holly. That's the camera there.
Yeah, right.
Our electric utility is made up of 4 or 5 different plants, including the nuke, which you know, is unfortunate. That's costing us a lot of money. It's very costly. But Holly Street is our most affordable plant. It generates our most affordable electricity. It's 23% of our utility, 23% of our generating capacity. It provides power at 2.9 cents per kilowatt hour.
Actually, I just got something from John Moore, and the actual number for Holly is about 2.65 cents per kilowatt hour.
So we're down to 2.65 now.
It's down to about 2.65, 2.7 cents, and we sell our electricity for about 7 or 8 cents.
Wow.
Well, our system average is about 8 cents.
That's great, except for one thing, and that is current plans call to shut that plant down and walk away from it, abandon it in place, because it makes some noise and it's close to some residences. Now, that decision was made by our council, I believe, in a unanimous vote just a couple of years ago. They're supposed to totally shut it down by the year 2005. That would be disastrous for our utility that we own. It's disastrous for us as ratepayers. We're asking our city leaders to take another look at that decision. We think it's a wrong decision, a dumb decision, quite honestly. And very simply put, you know, for the convenience of all the ratepayers, all the utility customers, we may have to condemn some property if, in fact, people don't want to live close to that plant, if in fact it is a nuisance after the soundproofing that's been done to the plant and the homes. But we just can't abandon 23% of our utility for the convenience of a few.
There's a tremendous number of issues, and you know, when I used to talk about the South Texas Nuclear Project, we would have rallies where there would be 200 or 300 people, and there would be a lot of emotion. And I'm very, very glad that I worked against the nuke. But to all my friends who were involved in that, I also want to say that taking care of the Holly Street Power Plant, it's not the exact same thing, but it's relatively very important to our utility and to our community. And we have to objectively look at all the issues. And a lot of the people are not looking at the issues, and this is a big deal. The first thing is that to take care of the 546 megawatts generated at Holly, which again, Bob, represents 23% of our whole utility, is that there's 4 turbines there. For $5 million, we could buy new turbines and renovate the whole thing, and they could have another 35 years of life.
Right.
If you put another $5 million on top of that to buy the houses and to create a buffer around there, which would be a value of about 250% more than the property is appraised at, it's $10 million. Now, according to 2 different reports of the city, the first report of the city, and I have it right here, said it would cost $300 to $400 million, not including soft cost, to replace that plant. And anybody in the city of Austin can go and get this report. Now, another report after the vote was taken, which was the politically correct report, came out. And again, this is what saddens me. Reports come out that maybe are influenced too much by politics, but even in the politically correct report, it said to replace 60% of Holly, which was only 300, would cost $90 million, not including interest or soft costs. So that's equivalent to about $150 million, not including soft costs or transmission lines or interest.
Yeah.
And when you put interest on there, that's that's $300 million. So let's use even this more conservative number. We're talking about $150 million plus interest plus soft costs. And my friends, $150 million is going to raise your electric utility bill considerably. Whether you live on the east side or the north side or the west side or the south side, your electric utility bills are going to go up, 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 and that's wrong.
Precisely. And it doesn't have to happen. You know, one of the beauties of Holly is it's located in the grid, in the center of the grid.
Exactly.
Transmission loss is therefore low. That's why one of the reasons it's so efficient. It's close in. It's virtually right in the city. And so if it's replaced, like they say they can for $80 million or whatever, you know, where do you put it? Obviously not in the same place.
Right. It goes out in East Travis County or in Bastrop.
It's going out a long way, obviously, and then that means new transmission lines, and that means more land acquisition. It goes on condemnation, legal costs, on and on and on.
And the first thing I learned when I was a city council member is that you always want, when you have a generation web, you want to generate electricity from the inside out rather than the outside in.
Well, hi, Austin. My name is Terry Liberty Parker.
Hi, Austin, and I'm Debbie Gauntlet.
And we are naked under these clothes.
And you're watching the
Jeff Davis Show.
And we're with Live and Let Live on Cable Channel 10. Keep watching.
And this is a pint-sized Xena the Warrior Princess. What? Again?
Go for it.
What, now? Hi, Austin. My name is Terry Liberty Parker, and this is...
Hi, Austin. This is Debbie Gauntlet. And you're watching...
The Jeff Davis Show.
On Cable Channel
10.
And we're with Live and
Let Live. That's right. Keep watching this show to find out how to live and let live. And we are both naked under these clothes. And this is a pint-sized Xena the Warrior Princess. One?
One more?
Change it up.
Okay. Hi, Austin. I'm Debbie Gauntlet.
And I'm Terry Liberty Parker.
And you're watching
The Jeff Davis Show
on Cable Channel 10.
Keep watching to find out more about how to
live and let live.
And you heard it from a pint-sized Xena the Warrior Princess, and she's naked under these clothes.
Okay.
Cut.
Hi, I'm Corey Coleman. I'm one of the pilots of the Black Helicopters, and you're watching the Jeff Davis Show. Actually, I'm not even a pilot. I can't even drive a car hardly. But keep watching the Jeff Davis Show, please. And also, if you want to watch my show, every Wednesday, on Channel 16, 10 to 11, I'm Corey Coleman. Show is called The Real Deal. Thank you very much. I love you, Jeff Davis, and don't you forget that.
Oh, let's get a plug of me. Gotta have me. How dare you get a shot of Corey.
Want me to do it again? Or?
Mike, I'll clean things up.
Hi, I'm Corey Coleman, and I used to be a member of the CIA, but after listening to Jeff Davis, I quit and became an average law-abiding person. Actually, I'm not anything. I just watch a lot of Access TV, and one of the things that I watch is the Jeff Davis Show. Keep watching that because that man knows what he's talking about. And also, tune into my show while you're flicking around. Channel 16, 10 to 11, every Wednesday. It's called The Real Deal. It's a movie show. Not as political as this show, but I love you anyway, Jeff Davis. So keep watching. Thank you. Get the hell out of here.
Got it.
Comes Alex, you bet. Like,
Well, how do we get more shots?
You know, a long time ago, I was thinking about running for the President of the United States, but then I started watching the Jeff Davis Show, and I said, well, hey, you know, I'd be a bad guy if I did that, wouldn't I? And maybe he convinced you otherwise, too. So keep watching the Jeff Davis Show. Don't know what time it comes on, but I'm sure he'll let you know. But I can tell you what time my show comes on. It comes on at 10 o'clock p.m. on Wednesdays, Channel 16. It's a movie show, not as political as this show, but that doesn't mean anything because Jeff Davis, I love you anyway. That man speaks the truth, and you'd be good to listen to him. Now, get the hell away from me.
Oh, we had a free exam.
Basically, they were just. They would be taking care of me now. Thing right there, I mean, I throw them gas mask or something on, but I couldn't. there, my neck. This mask or something on, but I couldn't. Dark. That thing right there, my neck. Gas mask or something on, but I couldn't. Dark. Bit above that thing right there, my neck. Gas mask or something on, but I couldn't. Dark. A little bit above that thing right there, my neck. Gas mask or something on, but I couldn't. Dark.
Get a picture of all that sheetrock powder in those bags.
Nancy, does he still want
in
the
Dallas County.
Yeah, I guess I should.
Did you hear about that sheetrock powder bust in Dallas County? They had all those guys in prison
No.
for sheetrock powder because they wouldn't get the drugs.
Yes, Andrea,
That's crazy.
you have money.
What?
We bring that in when they get the
Do you want us
pictures
to
taken.
tell us?
I don't think you need to put that up. It's gotta be inside.
You'll take it whatever you need to hold it. What do you want? Yeah, let's support my take a picture. Thank you, Moon. I'm sorry I didn't get to help you.
My office momentarily, I suppose.
I'm just gonna grab this for a second.
As opposed to every day.
So glad
glad you could make it.
Well, I had to do a couple circles. It was the Fox 7 News person that got me here.
Yep.
Grant, have a seat.
Did I sit here?
No, go ahead, sit.
Right here? Or, okay.
Yeah, that's fine. I'll get another.
Okay.
All right.
All right, we've got the little camera, so.
I don't know if somebody else is coming, if you guys want to wait a little bit.
Yeah, somebody just called. They're on the way.
Yeah, because it's kind of hard to find.
It is a bit.
Is that the evil weed?
Yes. They looked real pretty when I picked it a couple of days ago.
You
And I
know
put it in
weeds
water.
die as soon as you pick them.
I guess they do.
Wildflowers
Mind picking
too.
up again? Just. What is it called again?
Well, actually, the actual name is giant ragweed. People call it mulberry weed, devilweed, bloodweed.
This is a fax of a giant leaf when it was fresh.
Have a seat.
No, I'll just try to stay out of the way.
But you have to understand, in the spring they get like, 8 foot tall. The ones behind my house.
Oh well, you just were asking for it, weren't you?
Yes, so.
Test. Test.
Can you see for writing?
Test.
Okay, I'll really push the seat for anybody else to write.
Andrea?
Test.
How far away were they, Missy? Macy? Parking here?
Who's going to be talking the most?
The queen is. You know better.
Huh?
The queen.
Oh, this is David Howard.
Did he get raided too?
He got raided too.
Oh, poor guy.
He's the one that's a Vietnam veteran.
And they threw you down too?
He's the one that said, "Don't kick my
Sorry
dog."
for the inconvenience. My condolences. These are wonderful people, huh? Love them to death.
So someone else called saying
I think
they're
so.
coming?
Someone from the Daily Texan?
Yeah, I think it's a photographer. She should be here.
Are you from the Texan?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she's out in the parking lot, right?
Okay.
I think that's what Macy said she was parking. Not an easy task in our parking lot.
Well, I just parked with you guys.
Yeah, we parked at the church.
If I get in trouble, we'll be back to fight the ticket.
Okay.
I'll get over here with you.
Okay, so we ready to...
There's no other TV station. Huh?
You get the scoop.
I'll try and set up here. I'm gonna have to turn the light on here, so.
That's fine. So I'll just give a brief explanation of what the lawsuit is about, and then we have two of the plaintiffs here to talk about it. But this relates to the drug task force, or narcotics task force, that exists here in Travis County, and with which there have been a significant amount of problems. As you might remember, about a year ago, one deputy was killed because of the way the raid was done. And then at Christmas time this year, a young man was killed as he was sleeping on the couch. But we have yet a third situation that has come up, that came up in Spicewood, and this was a raid on 3 residences together over by Spicewood, in which they apparently, based on some concocted information, this narcotics task force decides that it's going to descend on these folks that are sitting here, somewhat elderly folks with disabilities, and accuse them of raising marijuana that apparently somebody spotted from the DPS helicopter. And as you can see here, we produced pictures to show that anybody can see pretty clearly the difference between hayweed and marijuana. And this is what the task force says, that they spot this, they call it marijuana, it's in reality hayweed, and then they show up. But when they realize they're wrong, they don't have the ability to say that they're sorry and walk away. What they end up doing is ransacking the 3 houses on that property, hoping against hope they're going to find something to justify what they did, and they can't do that. They spend 40 minutes, they have these people in detention, a clearly bogus search. They could have put people at great peril. And then when they realize they're wrong, that they've mistaken hayweed in some fashion, for some reason, as marijuana, they don't have the decency, the professionalism to walk away, but then hold these folks outside and go through their houses. But even worse, after they've totally flubbed it, they then enter these folks into the computer, the police computer, as narcotics suspects. Folks have never done anything wrong in their lives, have no reason at all to be in the police computer, and the only reason they're in there is because the police made a stupid, egregious mistake, refused to acknowledge they're wrong, and continue to penalize someone, innocent people in the community. And the problem is, well, what can happen here is that the citizens of Travis County need to understand this can happen to anybody. This can happen to anybody. You have a bogus complaint like this, and this SWAT team will descend on you, ransack your house, walk away, never apologize, and then enter you into the police records as a narcotics suspect for the rest of your life. And that is not what American democracy or American policing is all about. And that's why we have this lawsuit today. You think about it with these folks, you know, somebody could have had a serious health problem. You know, you have a helicopter descend upon you unexpectedly. You might you might have somebody that could have heart problems, for example, or some other situation, or kids in this context. You know, in the other two cases I talked about with the same task force, you had kids present when all the shooting was going on. And the question to the sheriff ought to be, why does this even exist? Why have this sort of bizarre police enforcement going on? We didn't see this under the previous sheriff. Why is it going on? Why is it going on when it's obviously not necessary? So anyway, I'd like to introduce Sandra Smith here, and also Dave Howard, who were two of the people at the time, to let them talk a bit about their experiences. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, my name is Sandy Smith. I've lived on my homestead. I've lived in Austin about 30 years. I'm a very respectable member of the community. I've been the manager of 2 convenience stores. I've been totally responsible for their money. Everybody has always thought I was a respectable person. People have always looked up to me. And this is the most terrifying thing that ever happened to me in my life. The helicopters started coming over my house. I called somebody to see, somebody called me and said they're taking pictures of your house, and I said, oh my God, it must be this guy that's suing me over here. He's going to take pictures and use against me in court. So I called someone else, and they wasn't home. Then I called someone else, and he said, well, I don't think that man would spend all that money to just take pictures of your place, that it's got to be something else. And then about that time, I was standing behind my van and talking on my phone, and all of a sudden the whole street just filled up with cars, and there was this woman jumped out of this car. She had long red fingernails. I mean, I'm not making this up. She had long red fingernails. She had long blonde hair. She was dressed kind of like Rambo, and she threw this gun on me, and she said, you dropped that phone and you spread them on the van. And I was stunned. I said, my God, what did I ever do with it was this bad? And she made me stand against the van. And then, meanwhile, Dave was coming out of the house. They dragged him out of the house, throwed him on the bench. And this other guy, she let me, you know, it was real hot. It was in May. And finally she let me move from behind the van. She made me come, she said, okay, you can go over there and sit with them. So I sat in a chair opposite facing them, and I asked Dave if I could have a drink of Coke. He got to give it to me, and she said, you sit down, said, you will be handcuffed. Said, this man is a menace to my safety. And I said, well, you know, he was just trying to give me a drink of his cold drink. And then one of them walked by and kicked the dog, and he jumped up and said, don't kick my dog. And they threw him back down on the bench again. And then after a little while, Sheriff Hale came up, and he said, we were out, said the helicopter spotted what we thought was a large field of marijuana growing behind your house, and said this is the marijuana season. And he said that's why we raided your place, but on closer examination, it was determined it was not marijuana. Sorry for the inconvenience, and then they all left. And then around the neighborhood, everybody was saying, well, you know, God said, you know, Sandy said, you know, they spread eagle hair on the ground and said she had 6 giant marijuana plants growing behind her house, and they busted her. And here I thought she was a pretty good girl, you know, and then, I mean, it just, my own home isn't safe. And I have never done anything wrong in my life. I don't even smoke cigarettes, much less marijuana. The last time I was ever in trouble with the law, I got a traffic ticket for speeding, and that was 20 years ago. I mean, you know, that's, I mean, anybody that looked at my record could see I've never done anything wrong. And so it just nearly totally, like I said, it nearly totally destroyed my life. Now when somebody comes by the house, I look out and I think it might be the sheriff coming back or the inspector coming back. It's just, like I said, it's really hurt my life a lot. My home doesn't feel like my home anymore.
And Dave, you want to talk a little bit about your experiences?
Well, it started out with I was shaving, and I heard the helicopter circle. You know, I thought it was just going over, but it kept going round and around. I said, man, this ain't right. So I walked outside, and Sandy was in the yard working already. And I said, Sandy, this ain't normal. And I went back inside, finished shaving, got dressed, went back outside, and it was still circling. And I said, geez, this reminds me of Vietnam. And then we just went to work. And 2 minutes later, they came in on us. And they used the same tactic we used to use in Nam when you go into a village. When you go into a village, you get everybody out in front and put guards on them and then go through the village and search. And that's exactly what they did. Same tactic.
Can y'all tell us how old you are?
I'm 56.
52.
Are you married?
No. I'm a widow.
There are actually 3 different buildings on the property, and
Okay,
all
so
3 were raided.
You own separate homes?
No, this is, Dave rents a room from me.
I didn't get your name. What was your name again, sir?
Mine?
Yes,
Jim
sir.
Harrington.
Okay, thank you.
There have been allegations made that aside from your home being raided, for which, did they have a warrant, first of all? Were you ever produced with
They
a warrant?
had no warrant.
Okay, and there's been allegations made that other homes in the area were also raided, that other people were drug out of homes in neighboring houses to yours. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Could you describe that activity?
Okay, well, Chance has this little house on here on the other side of me. He was asleep because he goes to work at 3 o'clock, and they knocked on the door. He came to the door, and they drug him out with he said there was like 4 or 5 M16s to his head. They put those to his head and drug him out and then threw him on the bench out there with the other 2 guys.
And when you say they had M16s, when you say that the officers that were holding you at gunpoint, were those M16s also?
Well, they were big guns. Now, I don't know
They weren't
anything about
handguns.
guns. Oh, they were huge.
They were
And these
assault
guys that were running around the place, I mean, they were 10 or 15 of them. They had arms like you wouldn't believe, like tree trunks. They had tattoos all over them. They had, you know, really weird-looking hairdos.
So these really big, strong military guys
Oh,
had to
God,
hold
yeah.
you, a 50-year-old
Yeah.
woman, at gunpoint because you were a threat.
It was the woman that was the mean one. It wasn't the men. She was what scared me to death.
We walked in a little bit late and we didn't catch your whole story. Could you kind of sum up what happened and how it made you feel?
Well, sure. This was May the 8th. It was my day off, and I was going to go to the grocery store, and Dave was inside shaving. And all of a sudden, this helicopter started buzzing around my house real low. And one of my neighbors called me. You know, I have a little phone, you know, my little portable phone. And she said, Sandy, somebody's taking pictures of your house. And I said, well, you know, I wonder if this is the guy, you know, my neighbor is suing me. And he's always calling some kind of, you know, like the people that inspect your septic tanks. They've been out there 13 times to inspect my septic tanks. And I thought it was, you know, he was going to try to use something against me in court, so he was, you know, he's taking pictures of my place. So I called my friend and I said, well, what can I do? I said, you know, I don't think he has any right to be doing this. And he said, that guy wouldn't spend that kind of money to photograph your place, and that costs $5,000 to rent a helicopter. And I said, well, gosh, I wonder what's happening. Then all of a sudden, all these up and down my street, you know, we live on a dead end street. It's way out in the country, and all of a sudden it just filled up with cars and task force trucks and everything else. And this woman jumped out. I was, you know, standing behind my van out on the street talking on the phone. This woman jumps out of the van. She has long blonde hair. She has red fingernails. She looks, you know, kind of real pretty. I mean, she's real pretty. She's slender. And she had on, you know, kind of like a Rambo looking outfit. Had this big deal strapped to her waist, and she threw this gun at me, and she said, you drop that phone and you spread them on your van right now. And I was stunned. I mean, you know, I just couldn't imagine what was happening. And then, anyway, they drug Dave out. They drug Chance out of his house. They drug out the guy that was doing some work around the yard for me. They threw them all on the bench. They held guns on them, and then she held a gun on me. And then after a little while, she finally said I could go over there and sit down. And I sat down in the chair, facing the two guys. And I asked Dave, he had a Coke in his hand. I said, could I have a drink of Coke? And he started to give me the Coke, and she said, you sit back down or you will be handcuffed. And then somebody kicked the dog, and he jumped up and said, don't kick my dog. You know, because my dog's just kind of old and crippled. You know, he was just growling. He wasn't trying to attack him or anything. And so anyway, they said, you sit back down or you will be handcuffed. And they had guns on all of us. And then directly, the sheriff, you know, this Mr. Hale come out, and he said, well, the helicopter, this is the season for marijuana, and said we spotted what we thought was marijuana behind one of your houses, but on closer examination it was determined that it was something else. So they took a couple of garbage bags with it, and I said, and by the way, I've got a great crop of beggar lice this year if you want them. And so anyway, then they took the bags and they left, and the people across the street was watching from behind the fence, and I said, and they said, why don't y'all just come on down? Because, you know, they're always calling somebody on us. And then after they left, we found out they went in all our houses and searched all our houses while they had us all at gunpoint out there. And, you know, I have high blood pressure. I mean, I could have had a heart attack. I mean, I was never so scared in my life, you know, because I've never had a gun pulled on me like that before. I mean, I just live out in the country, you know. That's my homestead. Been out there 30 years, you know. I mean, used to, there wasn't even a house around me. And for this to happen, like I said, it's just kind of really hurt my life. You know, I'm not even able to work anymore.
Does it haunt you still?
Well, sure it does. Every time somebody drives by, I have to run to the door and look to see if it's a health inspector or see if it's a sheriff or something. I mean, it just, and I'm real paranoid, you know. I'm kind of afraid to go anywhere. I'm afraid everybody knows me, you know, or the sheriffs are going to try to find something wrong with what I'm doing. Well, I mean, this was 2:30 in the afternoon, and all the sheriffs that live in the area.
One of them. How many people would you say were there?
There was at least 15 or 20. I mean, it was, you know, like these guys with the big arms with the tattoos and the weird hairdos, and they were all wearing these big guns, you know. And then there was 2 or 3 sheriffs. There was, like I said, Mr. Hale, and he was real nice. Actually, the men were all fairly nice. It was a woman that was real hateful.
What are you hoping to get out of it?
Shown that they kept, you know, push innocent citizens around like this, and I think they should have made a public apology to me then, which I said, you know, on the news channel. But I think they need to be punished to show that they can't treat just ordinary citizens like this for no reason.
And you were never presented with a search warrant?
No, not at any time.
None of the neighbors whose homes they searched were ever given a search warrant
No,
by
sir.
the sheriff's department?
No.
Are you saying that search warrant didn't exist? Or
Right,
you say you
there was no warrant.
Never was.
Sandy, was the county commissioners informed that they were going to raid your residence?
I don't know.
Have you talked to any of the county commissioners since this raid?
We tried to contact some of them, but they never really responded to my call.
Do you think it would be helpful for a policy to be put in place at the county commissioners, where your county commissioner be informed that they're going to come in and break your door down in the middle of the night or raid you?
I think that would be a great idea. And something else too, I mean, we have asked for help from the county commissioner before this because of this harassment my neighbor has put me through by calling the health department on me 13 times when I have a legal septic tank and I am grandfathered.
Are you looking for a financial settlement or verdict out of the county on this? I mean, how much money are you looking for?
Well, I don't know, whatever the jury thinks is fair.
I think, well, hopefully one thing that's going to come out of this lawsuit is either disband this narcotic task force, SWAT team, or seriously re-engineer the guidelines. It's just too bizarre, the stuff that happens with this, and it puts the life of citizens at issue, in danger, and as we've also seen already, it endangers the lives of the officers that are participating.
What about indictments of these people that are doing criminal activities, and that's what it is criminal activity? What about indictments of these officers, these criminals wearing a badge?
Well, that you'll have to ask the district attorney.
But are you going to ask for indictments?
We don't have, the only remedy we have is civilians, as citizens, is the suit federal court.
Well, when we make mistakes, we go to prison. When they make mistakes, they don't go to prison. It's just covered up.
Well, it's even worse than that. In many respects, the courts insulate officers who make mistakes, and even when they're doing it maliciously, insulate officers.
Jim, why file is there anything particular about now? I mean, why are you filing the lawsuit now? I mean, it happened back in May. Did it take that long to gather all the facts?
Yeah, part of it is our work schedule. Part of it is just gathering the reports and stuff. And we wanted to see, we checked to see if there was any warrants out, and then we had to get the police reports and stuff. And all that takes a good deal of time, particularly when this is such a public issue. Officials aren't very forthcoming with documents.
Is part of this also to raise awareness about the costs, the enormous costs that the county taxpayers bear to pull these raids off, with helicopters flying around, with 15 to 20 armed personnel that have pulled off 41 raids in the last 9 months that's resulted in the death of a police officer, the death of an innocent teenager, Starflight on standby, EMS on standby at all these raids. Are you concerned that the taxpayers' money is really being wasted to raid mulberry weed and hold respectable citizens at gunpoint?
Well, the amount of money is a political issue for the citizens to decide. I mean, obviously, it's if you were in private business and did something like this, you'd be fired years ago. But that's true of government generally. It's just bad. And what's unfortunate about the police situation, of course, is that they are protected so often by the courts. But what is particularly problematic about this situation is that it puts people's lives in danger. That's the thing. And there is absolutely no reason you have to have a SWAT team out there at 2:30 in the afternoon looking at a couple of bushes. Just get a warrant like anybody else in the state and go look if you have an issue with it. But that sort of activity is exactly why citizens get hurt, and is exactly why officers get hurt, as we've seen in the other raids that this team has done. The question ought to be raised by the citizens is, do we want to imperil the lives of the people in the county, and do we want to imperil the lives of the officers? And why is it we have this this Rambo thing back in existence that wasn't in existence under the previous sheriff? Why is it back?
And also, you think about, probably the taxpayers were out $10,000, for this. I mean, my gosh, that's lots of money. That could have went for, like fixing our roads out front where people are getting killed all the time, because there's no turn lanes. I can't tell you the amount of people that have been killed over that. Why didn't they spend that money for something like that instead of for busting me?
Sorry. How many other homes were raided at the same time?
3 altogether.
Yours and 2 others?
Mm-hmm.
2 of your neighbors?
Yes.
What are they filing lawsuits? I mean,
This is Dave Howard. He's filing a lawsuit.
And the other 2 are too.
Okay. I guess
They're on the same acreage, but they're 3 different houses.
3 homes on the same homestead?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They're
And you own them all?
They're
Yes.
rent houses.
Okay, and you live in one of the rent houses?
Well, we're roommates. I rent a room from her.
Okay.
Where is it located again?
It's about a mile from the Pedernales River. It's behind the Hilltop Bar and Grill. It's out where, close to where Willie Nelson has his country club and all that.
Can I grab this and put it down so we can get a shot of it?
Put it on a chair.
Can you tell us again, Sandy, what they were wearing? Were they wearing military gear?
They were wearing military gear. I mean, the guys had like sleeveless shirts. They had we cut flak jackets with all the big pockets and those funny looking pants with all those, all those. Well, you know what I'm talking about, like you would see on Rambo or something.
So they look.
Camouflage.
So they look more like military than peace officers.
Yes, sir. Except the sheriffs would dress like sheriffs.
Can we ask the lawyer what's the difference between a peace officer and military, and how's Posse Comitatus come into this case?
Posse Comitatus doesn't come into the case. The Posse Comitatus doesn't exist in Texas, but it's a theory of law where people can basically enforce the law. Citizens, private citizens can enforce the law. The difference between military does not have jurisdiction, cannot do civilian activities inside the country, cannot participate in any law enforcement inside the country.
Well, she said she just got through saying she couldn't tell the difference between if this was military or peace officers. It looks like that Margot Frazier's people are dressing like. Well, who are these people? Who are these people that are raided Sandy? Were they sheriffs, or were they a different agency, or what have you found out?
Well, we don't know. I mean, we don't have any. There's no constitutional issue about how they dress. I mean, obviously.
Well, some of us it is.
Well, I'll answer your question. Okay. There's no constitutional issue about that, but obviously, part of the idea is to raise confusion in the minds and fear in the minds of the people. But the other issue about dressing is that what about in the raids where where the deputy is killed because of the way they're doing the raid and not identifying themselves, and it's unclear exactly who's attacking the house trailer. So this thing about the way they dress is important in that respect because it endangers the safety of the officers and endangers the safety of the people that are present, as we've seen already in 2 serious fatalities.
Sandy, as they exited their vehicles bearing their arms, how did they identify themselves to you? Or did
Well, there was only there was one of them came up. He gave me his card. That was Sergeant Hale. He said
before or after you were at gunpoint?
that was when they were leaving. He came up while we were all sitting there at gunpoint.
While you were
and
on
then
the
they
phone,
put down their guns.
While you were on the phone talking to your friend standing next to your van, did any officer identify themselves as law enforcement before they put a weapon on?
No. No, they said all she
Did
said
they
was.
have their jackets that said DEA, FBI, Narcotics Task Force?
Some
They
of
were
them
just dressed in
didn't. They have
camo?
some of them had. I don't know. It was so confusing. They must have just camouflage, and I know some of the sheriff's departments did. You know, that I recognized a couple of the sheriffs because they had on their uniforms, but the others they were. I can't remember, but I know one of the cars had DEA on it and some stuff like that.
But basically, they executed a warrantless search, failed to really properly identify themselves before they held you at gunpoint.
Yes, sir.
And searched other people's homes in the area and drug them out at gunpoint.
Right.
Those are some pretty significant issues.
And ransacked the houses.
And ransacked their houses.
Sounds like terrorists to me.
Oh, I know it.
Anything else?
Well, I would like to read my little poem I wrote about it. If y'all got a minute?
Yeah.
And in my purse, so don't do it? Oh, okay. All right, I'm sorry.
We don't have time.
Okay. All right, well, thank you very much.
Can I see it? Maybe we'll put it in the newsletter.
Huh?
Can I see it? Maybe we'll put it
Sure.
in our newsletter.
Sure.
Oh, you'll like your
If
little.
they had a search warrant, would it have made a difference? You know, if they had a search warrant.
Who are you
Not a
ding-alonging
lot.
so much for up here?
You could, I mean, once they determined that the item wasn't there, right? Even if they had a warrant, they would have had to withdraw. The warrant, well, I assume they, unless they had a warrant that allowed them to search the entire property and stuff. It has to be based on that.
Margot Frazier said on Channel 24 News she didn't need a warrant.
Well, she's wrong.
That's what she said on 36 News.
Yeah.
We got her.
24. It was 24 News.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
How you doing?
Good.
Very good.
Very good. Very good.
Very well. Very, very well.
Good.
So that's the actual system. Good luck.
Stay in touch. Okay.
I will, thank you.
We'll go down to court watchers, right, Mike?
Yeah.
It will be judicial watch.
I want to get her saying. Do you want to say anything to the people that that knows you on HCTV now? Sandy, right here to the camera.
Wait.
Well, I hope that this means that justice is maybe going to be served. At least it's showing I'm not just going to, just lay down and die because they've threatened me so much. And I'm trying to stand up for my rights and for everybody's rights. And I'm just trying to show that everybody has the right to be free and not be terrified of what's going to happen to them.
But did it feel like you were free when all these military type people were raiding you? What did it feel like?
Well, it was about the scariest thing that I've ever had to happen to me in my life. I felt like, what kind of country is this if you can't be free in your own homestead when you've done nothing wrong and have never bothered anyone and have just always tried to be a good person.
Good deal.
Well, God bless you.
Thank you.
I'll see you. Keep in touch.
Thank you, Mike.
All right.
No good on Mike.
I'll edit it. Get over here.
Get Jimmy to do it.
Hey, you understood it.
No, I'm not.
Nick, don't you?
Yeah.
We got to get him on your side.
I thought he.
Thanks. All right, how are we doing here?
2 weeks he did this.
2 weeks?
2 of them.
Well, that's pretty good. Mike Hanson, the next commissioner, precinct 4.
Anybody that needs signs in their yard, we'll bring them one.
Okay, anybody wants one of these signs in their front yard?
Well, not that big, but
something a little smaller, I hope, for my yard.
What are them signs going to be? 14
by 22, the regular.
14 by 22. We'll deliver it to you.
10-4, just call
292-0070, Jimmy.
There you go, folks.
Anybody in the trailer park, please.
Yeah,
bring you one.
We need lots of them out in the trailer park.
It's a hubcap.
What?
Okay, Mike, how we doing?
Doing fine. I want to thank Steve for painting 2 weeks on this. Took him 2 weeks to paint that by hand.
Yeah, 10-4, Steve's a good guy.
Yes, he is.
So's Mike.
I want to thank all the volunteers, Jimmy.
Thank all the volunteers.
That's right.
Well, we're just doing what we can for our community.
If you want somebody to protect and fight for your God-given rights, you vote for Mike Hanson.
10-4.
24/7, that's my motto. You call me 24/7.
What's this we got here, Mike?
Fight for freedom.
Well, that's a good thing to be doing.
Put it over my dents.
Okay, let's go eat.
God bless you.
Come on, no commercialism.
Hey!
Go away.
Are y'all the ones that live out of bed?
Elgin.
Oh, not that we're here.
We have the property in Basco.
Oh, so y'all gonna move out there.
One day, eventually. One day. They're gonna see it anyways.
That's good. That's good.
They're gonna see it anyway.
I'm not gonna put it on the red, that's for sure. We're following the law.
Following the law? Yeah, you gotta put well, what's going on here?
Pay for it. Or
No, paid for by Mike Hanson, County Commissioner. County Commissioner's candidate. Campaign fund. They gotta be legal, folks. You gotta follow all the rules when you're campaigning.
Problem is, they got so many laws, you don't know which ones you're breaking.
That's for sure.
Prisons are full up with them.
We have our reservations.
Yeah, me and Ma got our reservations.
Don't you have yours?
Okay, folks, guess who showed up to Gonzales, Texas? Old Trailer Pokey. We still look good after all these years, don't we?
Yeah, right, huh?
How long has it been? How long have we known each other?
35, 40 years? What?
Since probably 1994 or 19.
Yeah.
That's about 25, 26 years or something.
It's been a long time.
Even before Alex Jones, right?
Yeah, before Alex Jones.
Yeah. But Pokey, as I call him, Jimmy Ritter.
I was a truck driver. They call me Slow Pokey.
Yeah, and his wife that taught me everything that I know about editing at the Access TV. She just passed away. How long has it been since she passed?
27 months last Monday.
27 months.
Already.
Oh my God. But tell him what you're doing these days. And also he just like me, he has done a lot of camera work for Jeff Davis and for Alex Jones over the years.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've been through it, haven't we?
We certainly have.
And you know, we're trying to get a lot of that up and running on Alex's new website. Well, it's not a new website, it's Infowars.com, but it's on band.video on his website.
Bad videos, huh?
And then, well, YouTube's taking a lot of our videos down, even though they're calling it against community standards. I mean, how can anything be against community standards on YouTube, especially 25-year-old tapes?
Yeah.
But anyway,
Politically motivated.
let's catch everybody up out here. Everybody knows you out here, don't they?
Pretty much.
Okay, well, tell them what you're doing over the last couple of years. It's been a hard 27 since Chris passed away.
Chris was the producer.
It's been a hard time. I miss her.
There's Gary, my
There's
new
a
producer.
new producer there.
He's been well involved.
Say hi.
Hello.
Yeah. But you come down here to get some. I've been picking you some tapes. I found some.
Overwhelmed with them, I understand.
I'm overwhelmed with these tapes out here, but I found some of your home movies. Not that kind of home movies. But
see Mom in younger years?
Someone knows your kids are in their younger years. You know, just think that's 25 years ago. How old is your son now?
My youngest is 30.
See, mine's 35.
Yeah.
And my
But
daughter's
granddad is now.
Yeah, and I got 13-year-old granddad.
Yeah, we do look pretty good.
Yeah, we look good for being grandpas.
Got a rubber hose up my nose.
Okay, well, we'll cut it short, folks. But
Yeah,
what are you
trailerparkshow.com.
doing? Well, if you're giving websites out,
no,
Mike
it's not.
Hanson Archives on YouTube too.
The Trailer Park Show.
Okay.
We're still doing that.
What are you doing? What are you doing now? You said you're moving. You're going to leave Austin.
Going to leave Austin. It costs too much money.
I don't blame you there.
And now without Mom, I hate to leave Austin, but I'm going to go down with some more family members down by New Braunfels. We're still going to do the show online. And we've been having lots of guests, as you know. George Rodriguez was just on last weekend, last Monday from San Antonio. And we'll have a whole bunch more coming on.
Well, God bless you, Jimmy. You're a good friend. And we'll see y'all next time. Right here on Mike Hanson Archives.
I love Mike Hanson Archives.
Oh, yeah, say that.
I love Mike Hanson Archives.
Well, you need to speak up a little bit. All right, God bless y'all.
$100 million worth of surplus aircraft, vehicles, weapons, and other assorted stuff.
Can you put a dollar figure on how much you have actually gotten from the military in this program?
Well, currently we have over $41 million worth of equipment that we've been able to acquire.
Acquiring all those helicopters and spare parts stacked to the ceiling was just the beginning.
This is the Rolls Royce with wings.
How about a motorhome? And while you're at it, take a bunch of trucks and trailers. Oh, and don't forget the tank. Actually, the military calls it a peacekeeper.
It's a tank.
It's an armored personnel carrier that has tank-like qualities.
Looks like Nazi Germany to me. Here comes the armored personnel carriers. Wow, from the sheriff's office. Right down in Houston, we've shown you footage on other shows of Apache helicopters right there on the tarmac. All for your best interest. Don't worry.
You know, if I walked into this hangar, I would think Marion County had the highest crime rate in the United States of America. That's the way it would look to me.
Well, with any county, with any state, with any nation, you always have to prepare for the threat of war.
Do you really think about it in terms of preparing for war? That's the mentality?
My war is on the streets fighting the criminal.
And that is the mentality, and it's out of control. And what they're not telling you on this program is, again, looks like a real fair newscast, but the central point is they're training with the military. They're not just getting all this free equipment. That is totally unconstitutional. That is wrong, and we have got to start raising some hell. Now, on a whole 60-minute piece, this is the only true statement right here, and listen to this retired police chief tell you about what it is to have police and tanks with automatic weapons.
But we have to realize by giving lots of police officers these weapons, there'll be more shots fired in densely populated areas, and there'll be more innocent people hit with it.
These police forces are gearing up and militarizing at the very same time that crime rates have been dropping precipitously.
SWAT, for Special Weapons and Tactics, has been a part of big city policing for decades. But now, just as with helicopters and M16s, small towns are getting into the act.
Move!
A recent study found that more than two-thirds of departments in cities between 25 and 50,000 people have their own team.
Woo! 2.04, time to beat.
This is the University of Central Florida SWAT team. That's right, campus cops with a SWAT team. A campus that's right in the middle of Orange County, Florida, where Sheriff Kevin Barry has his own huge SWAT team.
They're right down the road, aren't they?
They're right down the road.
The University of Central Florida has its own SWAT team? If the University of Central Florida asked for your help, you wouldn't deny.
Well, we got to take care of the kids. I mean, we got to have all this loving so the IRS is safe. Well, listen to this guy now. He's fixing to tell you about how they're big and bad and scary, just like the Nazis were, but they're still here to keep you safe, so don't complain.
People, do they look bad? Do they look mean? Probably so. But they got a job to do, and they take it very seriously.
Yeah, they take it serious, and they're going to take it serious. We'll show you what they've been doing the last few years, just what we can find out about in the next few minutes. Now, they're fixing to tell us to step back and look at this terrible arms race that's just on accident by the federal government. We're supposed to just not worry about it and not think about it too much, and that it's not a big problem, but we should stop the arm race. The media's known about this for 15 years. This has been going on or longer. And now that they've fully armed up everybody, it's under full federal control, and we're starting to find out about it, they can warn us. They can warn us about the impending doom.
So I don't think the answer is to escalate the arms race in America.
Well, you say we shouldn't have an arms race, but we are. We're in it.
We're in it, and I think it's time that we step back.
Step back and look at this. It's the Army's weapons warehouse in Anniston, Alabama. Crate upon crate, stack upon stack, row upon row of surplus M16s just waiting to be claimed.
With respect to this was not an attack. You know, we were told they weren't going to be shooting, and yet they're firing what amounted to mortars or rockets at us, these Ferret rounds, which sounded like a mortar.
Were you afraid?
Yes.
With respect to the use of military weapons, these pieces of equipment were unarmed, as I understand it, and were contracted. I mean, it was like a good rent-a-car.
A good rent-a-car? A tank going into a building?
These pieces of equipment were unarmed, as I understand it, and were contracted, I mean, it was like a good rent-a-car.
A good rent-a-car? A tank going into a building?
That's what it comes down to. You got tanks smashing into a home, pumping in a deadly gas with children in there with gas masks that were too small, playing the sounds of dying, squealing rabbits and heavy metal music for days on end. They could have caught Koresh any day. He went into town all the time. The children.
Was the FBI posture one of concern for the children? We found this candid interview with an FBI agent the morning of the fire particularly insightful.
It's quite a specimen, I tell you. I just, in all my years involved with SWAT, I've never seen a gentleman like this that I've learned so much from in just the short time I've been around him. It's just awesome is about the only word to describe him.
Honed to a fine edge, honed to kill.
The techniques used on the Branch Davidians are well-known brainwashing techniques. Cut off all communication with the outside world, all utilities, all food supplies, and subject the person to extreme stress. Lights, noise, tanks charging the windows, and constant propaganda on loudspeakers.
Quite a specimen, I tell you. I just, in all my years involved with SWAT, I've never seen a gentleman like this that I've learned so much from in just the short time I've been around him. It's just awesome is about the only word to describe him.
Honed to a fine edge, honed to kill.
Okay, you just saw the 60 Minutes piece. Now you saw some loving things that they wanted to talk to you about and talk about how they care about the kids. Listen to these guys from the Naval Warfare Research Center with local police admitting that they have control over local police departments and using equipment and that they are training. Very, very vital that you understand that 60 Minutes held this back from you.
In addition to the new technology, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of surplus military equipment is being transferred to local police as a result of military downsizing. Army helicopters that once did service in Vietnam are now used for surveillance in American cities. Police departments are refurbishing armored personnel carriers acquired from the military and are building their weapons inventories. Many in law enforcement and the military are reluctant to discuss joint training, but Lieutenant Sid Hale, a SWAT instructor with the LA Sheriff's Department, says military training for police has arisen out of need.
You were telling me before about training with Marines, training with SEALs. Could you explain what you've done? Now, some of the stuff I'm going to have to dance around on because it's classified, just so you know. Okay. In fact, I'm starting to get nervous even just thinking about it. But no, we've trained with most of the special operations units in the military. What kind of training? A lot of urban movement, maritime interdiction operations, hostage rescue, a lot of long rifle training, sniper training.
To many police officers,
just remember that. You've got a local law enforcement commander sitting there telling you it's top secret, and you aren't freaking out, red flags aren't flying up. Huh, my God, top secret and it's local police with the federal government? Wake up now. Now I'm going to show you a few more clips from the Urban Warfare Naval Center, then we'll show you a few more of them bragging about killing people, and then that'll be enough. I think anybody should wake up after this. Get local control of our police. That's what I want. That's what we all should have.
In Orlando, Florida, the SWAT team not only looks militaristic, it also has strong ties to the military, in particular to the Naval Air Warfare Training Center, where the team has begun to train on equipment developed by the Navy.
Okay. As soon as you hear the grenade, that's your cue. Kill.
Now listen carefully. They're talking about how to kill right here, not about how to keep people alive. This is very scary.
Okay. As soon as you hear the grenade, that's your cue. Kill.
I know real soldiers, and real soldiers don't laugh about killing. These are little punks that have been raised in our degenerate society, and they're the same thing as Nazis, and they're out of control. We better stand up against this, and I mean now. End federal control of our local police, damn it. I've been hearing a lot on this. Well, yes, there you have it. More of your friends in our society today. It's getting really dangerous. Ski mask wearing so-called law enforcement. Even the Nazis didn't do that. This is a very dangerous precedent. And again, the key point is federal control over our local police. Militarization. Fascism. Wake up. People are waking up. And since the realignment of 94, they've really expanded this. They do not want us getting rid of this big government, so they're going to force it on us. This federal government is not for you. and this growing police state is to make sure that you stay cowed sheep. Now, they're trying to con you just with media BS, but they know more and more people are waking up, so they're gearing up. Make no mistake, and they've got mindless blockheads working for them. Again, this is not an attack against real law enforcement, but it is against civilian military police. I don't like it. I don't like it.
Hello, Austin, Texas, and we are back. Just a couple quick minutes here. Don't forget that this Thursday, Christmas Day, pagan holiday, nonetheless, Thursday at 5 o'clock, Channel 10, Jeff Davis, Real News Hour, takes on Peter Jennings and Dan Rather. Alex, closing comment, brother.
Well, as I have the day's Austin Record Statesman right here. Monday, December 22nd, from 8-3, it says, report, Gulf troops given vaccine despite objection. Cleveland, an Army Review Board ruled it would be unethical to give soldiers heading to the Persian Gulf an experimental vaccine without warning them that its effects were unknown. Well, they gave this to them in 90, and the French didn't give it to their troops, and none of their troops got sick. The plan, dealer reported Sunday. However, the ruling was overridden after the Department of Defense cited national security concerns. So again, you're in the military, they hate you. They don't even care about you, obviously, and it's just ridiculous. They've sold chemical and biologicals to all our enemies. There's some very evil people running the show. I think Jeff and I have shown that. And everything you know in this world is propaganda and lies. I'm sorry, they lace it with some truth, but this is what it comes down to. They want your kids, they want your life, they want your finances, they want your private property. They're coming out, the United Nations...
Using every angle they can.
The United Nations isn't taking over. I'll tell you who's taking over. The people that control the United Nations. It's only one finger on the hand of this growing fascism. So please wake up. Please start talking to your friends. Please do something. Because this is world history repeated over and over again, but now they've got all this technology, and they've got you focused on all this bread and circus.
Alex, when's your show tomorrow night? You're not live tomorrow, right? Is that correct?
Yes, it's a tape show tomorrow evening, and it is from 8:30 to 11, God willing, and then I'll be back next Tuesday for exposing corruption.
Let me also mention, folks, that Alex and I are scheduled to be on Teledemocracy this Friday at 8:30 p.m. Was that Channel 10 or 16?
I believe it's Channel 10.
10 or 16.
Look for us at 10 on Friday.
Yeah, 8:30.
Oh, 8:30.
8:30 p.m. Live with Greg Erickson, who's a friend of ours. And with that, folks, I want to just say one thing. Like I say, it's time to wake up, and people are waking up. And like I say, the Real News Hour starts this Thursday. Alex is co-hosting. He's got a show coming up here at 11. What's that, on Channel 16?
I believe the night at 11 I should be on.
And folks, get control of your life, or obviously these people are going to do it for you. That's the bottom line.
People, this is real. They are creating. It's already here, but they are look, now they're just now telling us about this police state. And,
there you go.
And plus, there's a lot of lies. It's been building for 20 years.
All right, Alex. God bless the United States. We'll see you back next Monday, folks, hopefully.
Long live the Republic and
death.
Yes.
The New World
Death, the New World Order. And I mean that. These criminals from Europe that control our nation now, believe me, the European Union's going online. They're out of control. Their new currency's coming on, and they're going to be very, very, very dangerous.
God bless you, Alex. Appreciate it, bro. See you next week, folks.
You guys better start thinking for yourselves out there, because I don't know what the hell to say to you anymore. Some serious hardcore issues are happening. I want to thank Jeff Davis for having me on. Supposedly I should be on Channel 16 tonight at 11, and I'll have more presentation for you. Basically, there's just some evil people, some ruthless people who aren't even good managers running the world. You got the IMF running around out of control. Start thinking for yourselves right now. I'll see you tonight at 11, and I'll see you Friday.
Hello, folks. It's Mike Hanson here with Mike Hanson Archives. Please take a moment to watch this short video about my nonprofit, Gonzales Association of Patriots. Please take time to visit the GoFundMe and help your neighbor out. Anything will help us, even if it's $5, $20. If you can do more, great. But if you knew how desperate some of these people were, people that are a lot less fortunate than we are. They really need help here in Gonzales, Texas, and we're really trying to do that for them. So take a few minutes here to watch this video about our nonprofit, and please visit our GoFundMe and donate what you can. We really appreciate it, and thanks a lot, and God bless. Because I know you need help with your food and everything else. So that's from the Gonzales Association of Patriots. We always try to do something good for somebody every single month. We try.
I love you, Mike. I love everybody. Thank you.
Well, there you go.
Everybody.
Buy what you want with it. Buy you something nice once in a while.
I love you, Mike.
Yeah.
God bless you.
Well, hello, folks. It's Mike Hanson here. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about our nonprofit organization here in Gonzales, Texas. It's Gonzales Association of Patriots. We started it back in 2016 to help the less fortunate people here in Gonzales, Texas, and there's a lot of them. People are getting their electricity cut off. They can't make the gas to even get to their jobs. So we help them along the way as much as we can. We're not that big, so we would like to get bigger and get a lot more money to help people with. And so we have started a GoFundMe there. Just look below. Just look below here and you'll see the GoFundMe. And here's a couple people that we have helped lately, and hopefully it will move you to give a little bit to our organization, Gonzales Association of Patriots. Hello, folks. It's Mike Hanson here with Gonzales Association of Patriots. What we do here on this organization is we help people that are less fortunate here in Gonzales. And what was your name, ma'am?
Lauren.
Lauren, you have fallen on some hard times, and I hate to hear that. Tell us what the city. They cut your electricity off, then they want to charge you more deposits. We put you up in the motel for a couple days or a week while it's been really, really cold, and we're gonna give you gas money to try to get some more help. But folks, we have a GoFundMe. If you look right here on the screen and look below this video, go to the GoFundMe if you'd like to help Lauren. How much do you owe on your electricity bill? I mean, it's getting up there.
It's like $350, but this is the third time in a month and a half that I've had to pay a deposit. So I paid 3 deposits in a month and a half and almost $1,800 in lights.
And you're living without electricity right now.
Yes.
And we would like to help you. We're down to a couple $100s ourselves in our fund. And if anybody out there, if just 10 of y'all would donate $100, boy, that would be $1,000 we could help you. Lauren, you're from Gonzales. We help people from Gonzales. We have helped you just about as much as our fund's running out. So if folks, we help people here in Gonzales. If you would just give us the GoFundMe right there, and you can help beautiful people like this out there. You're working hard trying to get, you've fallen on some hard times.
Yes, sir. And then with this heart failure, it's harder to work, physically work. So it's a lot harder.
Well, we're going to try to get you by right now and give you a little gas money. We're secretary. There's Miss Cammie. Give her check from the Gonzales Association of Patriots. Let me show them. It's a legitimate association, and we've had it for about 4 years now, and we help people out.
He's a great guy.
Yeah. All right. Well, God bless you.
Thank you.
Everybody, help this lady out. Put it in GoFundMe, and we'll get with you to help you with your electricity bill. All right. God bless y'all out there. Thank you. People donate money to us, and that's how we get this money.
Thank you.
So if anybody wants to know more about our organization, we're here in Gonzales, Texas at P.O. Box 481.
thank y'all very much, and God bless everybody that helps people around that are in need. God bless y'all.
Remember, folks, this is not like other things like the Salvation Army and the Red Cross. 100% of what we take in goes back into helping the people. We don't take salaries. We just find the needy people and try to get them to a better place. We give them a hand up is what we do. Alrighty. Thanks a lot and God bless. It's Mike Hanson here. Please help us where you can.